Today I'm going to tell you a story about a girl before she knew Christ. Growing up, her family wasn't super religious. In middle school, she became an atheist because none of it made sense to her and she thought it was all made up. Throughout her life, sports was always a big part of her family. Growing up, she played softball, football, and basketball. Being a girl on a football team gave her great opportunities, but since she was already a big tomboy, she was called gay all throughout elementary and middle school. She never understood it because she only cared about sports. Eventually, high school came around and she ended up being the starting point guard as a freshman on the high school basketball team. They made the state tournament for the first time in history, but that was cut short because of COVID. Sophomore year started and COVID was still present. December came and her family caught the virus one after another, and on December 17th, the healthiest one ended up being the sickest. December 24th was when her dad got admitted to the ER because his oxygen levels lowered severely. Little did she know that was the last time she would see and speak to her dad for 4 months. She didn't even get to say goodbye. He didn't improve, so they had to put him on a ventilator on the 28th and then transported him to another hospital on New Year's to put him on a mechanical lung. Throughout those 4 months, her family put all holidays and birthdays on pause and decided to wait till he would hopefully return home to celebrate every single one with him. They even kept all the Christmas decor up. As time went on, she developed anxiety, which led to many panic attacks, depression, and lots of Taylor Swift. Trying to live in denial, she attached herself to her best friends and was always distracting herself with making memories with them and pretended everything was normal the best way she could. Her family friends were very supportive, and her high school basketball coach even decided to take her to church every Sunday. One Sunday, she missed church, and the same day, her dad had gotten worse, and his numbers and results came back terrible. Throughout his time in the hospital, his lungs failed, his kidneys failed, his lungs collapsed 3 times, he flatlined several times, and he developed a life-threatening lung condition. On a random day, her mom asked her a question asking if she could return to church because every time she went, his numbers improved. But when she didn't go, his numbers got worse. So she went. Still, his numbers would go up and down, and so one day at church, she had a random idea and decided she was going to speak to God for the first time ever. Asking if he's real and asking why this was happening, she prayed to God to heal her dad and make everything go back to normal. During this period, she became best friends with the girl, and her other friends convinced her there were a lot of chemistry between them. After this, in contemplating everything she was told growing up and the moments she had with this friend, she ended up developing feelings for her. However, nothing ended up happening. With the struggles that were going on, she went to the only thing that could distract her the best. She focused on basketball and eventually won state for the first time in history for the Jones High School team. During halftime of the championship game, her dad had woken up from his coma. A couple days later, her mom got to visit him for the first time in 4 months. He was only allowed to have one visitor because of the COVID restrictions, so the only time her and her siblings could talk or see their dad was on FaceTime. Eventually, he came home April 22nd. After this experience, her thoughts about God began to change and she became agnostic. Everything seemed to be going well, but she was still struggling on the inside. Junior year started, new goals, and her dad was a lot better. She got close with one of her new teammates and confided in her about her internal struggles. Eventually, they ended up developing feelings for each other, and she won state again, got a secret girlfriend, and still had bad anxiety, and had lots of internal battles with herself. Senior year came around, and her dad was basically back to normal. She won state in basketball for the 3rd straight year and finally told her parents about the girlfriend. A part of her knew deep down it was wrong, but it was overpowered by the butterflies and rainbows, especially since she was in such a dark place before. She goes to college to play basketball, but it wasn't until sophomore year that she started thinking about the Bible. She wanted to learn about it and understand it. She eventually got the Action Bible with pictures because she has a hard time with reading since she has dyslexia and aphantasia, which is where she can't form images in her mind. She only read about the story of Noah's Ark. Then one random night, she was scrolling through TikTok and came across a family of 3, a young couple with a little girl. This little girl looked identical to the dad. She started thinking to herself how awesome it would be to have a kid that resembled both her and her future spouse, but she knew that was impossible being with a girl. The thought was in the back of her mind for weeks. One day, she had a random idea. As she was driving home, she looked up and spoke to God again for the 2nd time. Between how college was going and her dream of having kids, she said, God, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should leave or stay here or in my relationship. So I'm asking again if you're real. Could you show me the numbers 999 since they mean let go of things no longer serving you, and I will know to leave. She knew technically that's not how it works, but she couldn't think of anything else. The next week, she was driving home from practice, and the car in front of her caught her eye. The license plate read 999. She got her answer. The next week, her old high school basketball coach gives her a call asking how she's doing. They catch up, and her coach mentions that since she's been coaching at this college the past year, she thinks that she would love it. The girl asked what college, and her coach said Southern Nazarene University. She knew of that college because she was recruited by them in middle school. Eventually, she transfers, comes back home, and commits to SNU. During the next summer, she meets her teammates and already feels something shift. Later, she and her girlfriend have serious conversations and decide to mutually break up because she wants to have kids the natural way. During that time, SNU had this thing called NSI, and she had to do it since she was a transfer. As she's doing that, she gets super close with one of her teammates. I'm going to call her Carly in this story. They'd go on walks around campus and talk about random things. On one of their walks, Carly asks her, "Where's your walk with the Lord?" And she smiles, fills her in on everything, and tells her how she's been wanting to get into it more, but has never really had the best outlet. Carly offers to help, and so she starts asking her questions. A few days later, Carly tells her to start with reading the New Testament, so she did, and when she would be confused, she would go to her for help. Carly would also send her songs like Forgiving God, which helped her mind tremendously. Carly eventually asks her to go to church on Sunday. She does with another teammate. Her name will be Rachel. At church, she learns about the burning bush. She reflects and thinks to herself about all of the different things, burning bushes she's had, but had no idea they were there. As school starts, she's already feeling a change. She's genuinely happier, smiling, and laughing every day, saying yes to things she normally would say no to. She would call her parents once a week, and even they said they could see a change in her. They could tell just by the way she talks. She tells her parents that since she's been here, it's like so much weight has been lifted off her shoulders. She feels a sense of peace, like someone is hugging her all the time. But she struggled with the word trust. Could she trust God was there? Could she trust herself with him? Could she trust he was real? One class chapel day, she is sitting next to Rachel, and the person starts talking about Noah's Ark. Rachel looks at her, knowing that's the only story of the Bible she knew before coming here. She grins and continues to listen. Then Miss Twyler starts talking about how she figured out what she wanted to do in life. She mentioned how she lived in Boston, which had Rachel give her another side eye and ended with a playful punch in the arm. After Miss Twyler stops talking, they all start to worship, and the first song they play is called Trusting God. And as she's listening, all of her doubts she had about trust felt answered. She stood there thinking, feeling, and knowing what her next big decision would be. Saturday came around, and she was in the car with Carly, and they drove to church. She told Carly about the chapel, and she told her that she is now a believer and wants to be baptized. She also thanks Carly how much she has helped her with everything and how she is so thankful for her and her putting in the time to help her get back on the right path. Carly immediately says it was the Lord. She just happened to be lucky enough to be in front row on the sidelines getting to witness his work. That response didn't surprise her. We get to church and wait till it starts with worship. Music starts to play, and the first song they start to sing is Trusting God. And automatically, they both look at each other and laugh, knowing the meaning behind that song. Time goes by, and she eventually gets baptized at Carly's church. Her entire team, family, friends, and her old high school coach came to watch her give her life to Jesus. Present time, she's the happiest she's ever been and finally feels like she has purpose. Yes, she still struggles from time to time and still continuously asks Carly questions, but she knows he has her. No matter what, Jesus has her. After everything from being called something I'm not, through the COVID period of my life, to him reaching me by showing me his beautiful creation and figuring out my dream of having kids with my future husband, to meeting the best teammates anyone could ask for, and finally to Jesus never giving up on me no matter how lost I got. He will always have me. My name is Boston Berry, and this is my story of how I found Jesus. Thank you.